Thank you, and thanks for having me. I was trying to think about when I was here 10 years ago. I think I asked that very question at the start of my talk. Who here has heard of Wealthsimple? I think 3 people raised their hands, so thank you for that. That was really cool. I also have to start by saying I was asked to come tonight, share a couple of the lessons we've learned over the last 10 years in building Wealthsimple, and I thought I'd start by a story. I nearly didn't make it here tonight. It's a little bit awkward, but 10 minutes before I was hopping in a car to come here, I got stuck in the bathroom at work. The deadbolt on the door stopped working, and I had a mini panic attack that I was going to actually have to call in and take this presentation from the bathroom stall at Wealthsimple's offices. But fortunately, I called my chief of staff, who I see has just walked in the door, hi Christine, who came and saved the day, and somehow jerry-rigged the door, got it open, saved me, and made me here. So first of all, a big thank you to Christine. And second, it's the first lesson about building a company. What kind of people do you want to hire? The kind of people who will save you from being stuck in the bathroom. So that's lesson number 1, resourceful people. I also was told that I'm not supposed to thank TechTO tonight, but 10 years in, I think I've deserved the privilege of being able to go a little bit off script. So I just want to say a huge thank you to the TechTO, excuse me, I didn't know about that branding, team on this work. We've talked actually at previous sessions when I've done this about the importance of building great Canadian companies, about Canada doesn't have enough ambition behind what it is we're doing. We often settle for too much mediocrity. And if there was ever a time when we needed to rally as a country and build more great things here, it is now. It is the people in this room, and it is the people that is trying to convene them, inspire them, and support them. So a huge round of applause for this great community. Good work. Hopefully some of you recognize our little slug friend. This is our latest ad at Wealthsimple. But the reason I'm starting with it is I felt like starting a business is very much like this photo. It's pretty daunting, no idea what you're doing. When I started Wealthsimple, I was 24 years old, had never built a business before, had never worked in financial services, and as Alex said, everybody told me it was crazy, especially here in Canada. We've got 5 banks, they have a monopoly on trust, you are never going to make it work. And we tried anyways. And 10 years later, you can accomplish way more than you ever imagined possible. Today, Wealthsimple serves over 4 million Canadians, 60 billion or so in the assets that we support. But most importantly, we hit a huge milestone last year on our 10th anniversary. Last year, we did 25 billion of net new deposits to the platform. And why that was such a big deal for us, it was the first year we beat one of the big 5 banks on a major financial metric. So I think we did, thank you. And why I say that with some pride is I remember very clearly when we started the company, we have this theory or belief system which we've now codified in our values, which we call naive ambition. I think I'm skipping ahead, but I'll just do it anyways. I think this is what it takes to build a company. This is what we look like on day 1. Jason was actually part of the Wealthsimple team at the time. And I remember we actually had a meeting. This was the day we launched the company. We put up this sign, make something people want. And we had a little meeting to convene a group of investors that had been in the industry before and talk about what it is we were trying to do. And I remember one of them looked at me and said, Mike, what is your grand ambition for Wealthsimple? I turned to him with a straight face and I said, well, the company that is the largest in our industry in the world is a company called BlackRock. They've been around for 25 years, and it took them, they've been around for 40 years. It took them 25 years to hit their first $1 trillion in assets. And I said, the company I most respect on the planet is a company called Vanguard. They've been around for 20 years. They've been around for even longer than that. It took them 20 years to get to their first trillion. I think the next company to hit $1 trillion in assets is going to do it in 15 years or less. Let's go be that business. I remember everybody looked at me and they said, that's crazy. You're never going to do it. But 10 years in, I still think we have a shot. We've got 5 years left to do it, and I think that's what it takes. It takes a little bit of crazy to believe that you can do something amazing. I'm getting my time to keep going. The second most important lesson in building a business is to focus on the client. Focus on the problem that it is that you're solving. I meet so many entrepreneurs who have, I think, a reasonably good idea of something they want to do, but it's a little bit detached from actual problems that they understand. They're spending 6 months, 12 months trying to build a prototype in a boardroom somewhere when really what they got to do is get out there and meet clients and solve problems for those people that they're trying to support. So one of the stories I like to tell about the client is when we were getting going, we used to have a rule that every single person who signed up on the Wealthsimple website, it's just a website at the time, I would try to call them within 30 seconds of their sign up and speak to every single one of them. And the point was, your bank will never do this. And I wanted to deliver this unbelievable, sorry, can you hear me? Okay, I mumble. I wanted to deliver this amazing experience where 30 seconds after signing up, you'd pick up the phone and I'd say, hey, this is Mike. I'm the founder of Wealthsimple. I just want to say thank you so much for signing up. You have my number. If you have any feedback for us, get in touch anytime. Let me know how we can serve you better. And we had to wow and hustle our way into those first clients. Because as you can imagine, when you're building a financial services company, you got to build trust. Nobody wants to be the first customer when you've got when you're not supporting any assets and you got nothing else, to support your credibility in this business. So get out there and speak to customers, really, really important. And the third is the importance of great people. Not only people who are going to save you from the bathroom stall when you get locked in there, but also people like Jason. We love resourceful, modest people at Wealthsimple. It's made the journey all that much more worthwhile. And one story I like to tell is it was Jason's first day at Wealthsimple. And you'll all understand why this works so well. Jason's first day at Wealthsimple. In our early days, the only way we knew how to grow was we used to do these things called lunch and learns, things that don't scale. I used to literally walk into a company with bags full of lunch, say, can I do a presentation for your team about the value of smart investing? And what we found is that no matter how many people showed up in the audience, if it was 5 people, if it was 100 people, 20% of the audience would become clients. So for about 2 years, my job became do as many of these lunch and learns as you possibly can. So take some heed in the advice of do things that don't scale. Anyways, Jason shows up on his first day. I have a lunch and learn booked. I can't make it. I turn to Jason, I say, can you go and do it? He picks up, he's never seen the presentation before. He jumps in the car, goes with bags of lunch, and delivers this amazing lunch and learn, gets 50% of the people to become clients, and becomes our #1 designator for doing these lunch and learns from there on. After you see him do this spiel at TechTO, you can appreciate why he was such an asset to the team. It is these resourceful people that you need when you're getting started that make all the difference. And I think one of the great privileges of being a founder is not only do you get to work on incredible problems that you're passionate about, you get to pick the people you're working on them with. And I think that is one of the most incredible things about the jobs that we do. Do not take it for granted and keep a ridiculously high bar for the sort of people that you're trying to build a business with. With that, I wish you all the best of luck and success in the world. Go build great, huge companies. We desperately need it. And thank you for having me.
You're going to take some questions. Questions, hands up. You can use your mic. Stand up and use your mic. You have to hit the button. Okay.
Hi, Michael. Great presentation, by the way. Thank you so much. Of course, I'm a Wealthsimple user as well. But my quick question is, in your 10-year journey of this business, what has been the most embarrassing failure you guys have had?
Other than the bathroom thing, yeah. Well, first of all, thank you for your business. So, great question. Lettuce. So, there's this famous story at the company. It's become a meme at the business. When we were just getting going, we were desperate for media. As I said, the only way we knew how to grow was if I got these lunch and learns. The only other way was if the press would write about us, because the Globe and Mail writes about you. You seem credible and big. If I just tell you about it, we were nothing. So we were desperate. We would try to find any media opportunity we could, and this young, scrappy PR agency came and pitched us, and they said, if we get you a job, will you hire us? No payment up front. Just pay us if you like what we get you. So they managed to get us this gig where they ran a survey about inflation and groceries. And I had to go to Kitchener-Waterloo, where I think it was, whatever it was some news agency actually met me in a grocery store to do this bit on the survey results we had. But what they had me do was push a grocery cart down the aisles while holding 2 heads of lettuce. And I was literally talking, well, if you buy the head of lettuce at this particular IGA, you'd save 20 cents a head. But if you traveled across the city to this one, on this Radicchio, you could save a heck of a lot more. And it was absolutely awful. Had nothing to do with what we were building at Wealthsimple. and has become a legend. And so now our office in New York, all of the, the meeting rooms are all named after heads of lettuce, and I've never been able to live that one down.
Back there.
Thank you, great presentation. My question would be, how do you see AI play a role in personal finance 3 years or 5 years down the line?
So I think if you're not all thinking super critically about how AI is going to transform your teams and your industry, you're behind the ball and you need to get on it. Even my slide about great people, I think, people are more important than ever. You're going to have smaller teams with a higher bar for talent to get things done. So in our case, I think AI is going to transform people's access to the very best financial tools out there. I was on a fascinating call a few weeks ago with a group of about 25 ultra high net worth Canadians talking about family offices. And this was a group that probably had an average net worth of $75 or $100 million of investable assets. We're talking about very wealthy people. And what was fascinating is they were all complaining about how awful the support they were getting was in personal finance. They weren't happy with their investment managers. They weren't happy with their accountants. It is surprising because you think if you have that level of wealth, you might be getting access to the very best of them. And what was really interesting was the major insight was what they all desperately wanted was just a smart CFO who made sense of their money and took the administrative burden out of their lives. And in my mind, that is a role where every single person is going to have the smartest, most capable, automated CFO in your pocket that's going to make your life so much easier, so much smarter. And that to me is amazing because you're going to make that accessible to everybody.
One more question. Phoenix, is there anyone that doesn't have a mic?
Thank you. Your $1 trillion 15-year target, where is that growth going to come from?
You know, compounding is a pretty powerful thing. You know, what I didn't say is we did $25 billion last year. We'll do $50 billion this year and probably beat RBC. And, you know, to me, you know, Toby talks about this often at Shopify, and I think it's a really important lesson for founders to accept is it's very easy to get seduced to think about stock metrics. How big are you today relative to who it is you're competing with or who you aspire? You know, $1 trillion is a milestone. That's a big one. What's much more important is flows. How fast are you growing? What kind of share are you capturing? And if those numbers are compounding, you'll be shocked at how fast that they can grow. And I think that's in our case the reality, where 3 years ago, even though we had very good success in scaling in Canada, the traditional financial services industry looked at us and said, that's great, but cute. Kind of doesn't really matter. But when you watch the flows and you start to see where Canadians are choosing to place their next dollar or open their next investment account, it becomes pretty shocking pretty quickly. So for me, it's about compounding and staying focused on those flows.
Thanks. Can you get a round of applause?